Yo, Natsu here, back again for the next part. Like I had said in the previous part, yesterday I didn't record because I really needed to rest, as well as a few things that were kind of, needed. Also, because of the waiting time that I wanted to do to basically leave you the chance to answer, even though only 2 people answered. So yeah, my question was, do we go to the island or straight to the forest arc? So we're going to the island. Okay, so since in the manga and anime, Bakugo was able to get to the island because he was in first place, but that this time he's actually third place because Shoujo literally froze him the instant it started, making it literally impossible for him to get out even with his explosions, basically freezing him way too much, making it impossible for Bakugo to even sweat. So yeah, Bakugo ended up third place, but he's still going to get to the island because basically they wanted to give, the pass to the first place. All Might had already told Deku that he wanted to bring him, so Deku said he already has one. They then wanted to give him to the second place until basically the same answer was given. I already have one. I'm already going. Which made them go for the third place. Basically thinking that if he also has one, we're going back to the first person, telling him to give it to someone else, basically. Since Bakugo didn't have one, they were able to give it to him, and so he went as well. So, basically, kind of the same thing was happening with All Might and Deku on the plane. So, basically, until they meet Melissa, everything is basically the exact same, except with Deku being stronger, so literally there was 0 changes. Also, All Might still has a bit more time, and his quirk level didn't decrease as much yet, so that's another thing. So, basically, Melissa is presented to All Might, to Deku, by All Might. Deku, who's a bit more confident in this one first, he was stronger. Second, because of how he was harassed all his life, his mind is a lot calmer, always. So, that also helps. So, he was basically able to present himself a lot easier without basically blocking anywhere. So, they basically went to meet David. Basically, same thing happening with Melissa being told by her dad to basically go show Deku around the island. The expo. Conversation between All Might and David was kind of the same as well, except that on the TV there was, first, he was able to last longer during the conversation. He didn't buff out almost directly when everyone left. He was able to keep it a bit longer. And on the screen when his quirk was being scanned, it was also higher. For Melissa and Deku, basically, same thing happens with them going towards the expo, meeting Uraka, Momo, and all of them. Going towards where one of the quirk test place is, meeting Bakugo and Shoto. So basically, Deku is still a bit more reserved with Bakugo, but a lot less than in the anime. So when Bakugo tells him, "You think you can do a better score than me?" instead of Uraka saying, "Oh, he might be able to," it's Deku who says, "Yeah, I think I could beat you." Basically not being sure right there. And basically going for it. And just like I explained so many times before, when Deku started using his power, first, Melissa saw that it was powerful. Basically, the lightning is pretty strong, as well as the energy. When he leaped away to basically start, he was at 15%, basically using as much as he could from his body without breaking himself or hurting around. So, also, compared to a 5% from the movie, this Deku basically went to 15. And it's not just 3 times stronger than what it was in the movie, it is 9 times, since obviously you have to take into account the already 3 times boost to One for All. So she did see during his run that, he was holding back, but Deku basically almost pushed the mountain down. Like, every time he was breaking one, which was like 5 times faster than in the original, in the movie, I think he had like 0.8 or 8 seconds, I mean. So in this, he's basically got like 3, which is huge. Like, nobody can beat that. Shoto's next to do it, basically getting his same score of, I think, 6. So, he lost. But he doesn't look at it in a bad way. Bakugo is angry though, because, oh shit, he did a lot better. But so basically Deku won. Melissa basically talked with him. They went to do some, and basically everything else kind of happened. Then she told Deku that she saw that he was kind of holding back, with someone saying that, well, he always does. Basically, Ochako hearing that and saying that he does, her asking what she means, and Deku basically just kind of explaining that he was quirkless for nearly his entire life, until basically a month before UA started, where he finally got his quirk. Her saying that it was amazing. Basically, Deku said, yeah, but I basically did 9 months of grueling training. Then he basically said, also, I don't just have 1 quirk, I kind of have 3. With Melissa kind of looking at him weird a bit, like, how many? Wait, how can you have this many? With Deku giving the same explanation of, well, my quirks seem to be energy-based, so... And then basically shows the black whips, which he could have used during the test run, but he didn't. She was impressed, and then Deku just kind of said that the last ones is a bit harder to explain, well, to show. He basically said that, well, the basic is I can heal. With her saying that it is impressive, but how much can he heal? With Shoto just kind of, no, not Shoto. Denki, who was basically the waiter in that moment, basically arriving, hearing that part, and basically saying that he once ripped his entire arm off because of a villain, and that it grew back. Melissa hearing that and being impressed with then asking who he was. Basically the explanation of why they're there, well, Denki and Mineta. And basically this going on a bit like usual. Then her telling Deku that she might have something to help him use a bit more of his power. And then they basically go for that, which basically the same thing as in the original. She shows them the glove, then telling him that it can use 100, it can resist 3 times a 100% punch from All Might. Deku just thinking, so 1% punch for me, without saying it out loud obviously, but basically just thinking that, since he is 3 times stronger, so it would kind of balance out, though it would be the right math normally, but kind of doesn't. But anyway, Melissa basically then says that she's actually quirkless and that, well, just like her father, but she's still studying to basically be a accessory creator, just like her dad. This time she knows Deku was quirkless, since it was basically explained. For obvious reasons, everything in the story. And so, basically, she told him he did feel a bit sad, but she told him not to feel sad, and explained a few things, basically the same things as in the anime, and then told him that they should go get ready for, well, the party. Deku goes to get ready. Basically, for that part, kind of everything happens the same. Kirishima and Bakugo getting lost. The others arriving at the party, not going inside. The party being stopped by villains. Then the moment where All Might and Deku are actually talking, instead of All Might telling them to run away, he tells everyone to run away, but that Deku needs to try and do something. Which everyone basically doesn't, Jiro doesn't understand why All Might said that. Basically, when they went back, Jiro asked about that when they told about it to everyone, with Deku kind of just thinking about it for a bit and then just saying that his trainer was All Might. Basically launching literally a bombshell in the middle of it. Basically saying that All Might saw him basically sad after an incident where Bakugo almost died, with Deku trying to help, and then everyone around him basically yelling at him. All Might decided to train him for the 10 months, basically trying to at least help him get stronger to at least be able to go in school, even if he didn't have a quirk, and that his quirk still unlocked during that time. All Might basically having trained him, some people say, so that's why you're so strong and that your combat style is similar. With Deku kind of laughing it off in that moment, saying that, yeah, kind of. So, they basically, stop talking about that part, basically going back to the plan. Basically them thinking that so All Might knows his power better than, everyone else other than Deku, since he was there when it unlocked. So, they're thinking, obviously All Might knows that Deku might be able to do something. Also, since he has a lot of quirks and a healing, like 3 quirks, with one of them being a healing quirk, he might actually be good for the job, since as long as he doesn't die, he can still heal. The other still tells Deku that, yeah, no, they're coming with him. And yeah, him accepting. And basically launching towards the top of the tower. Everyone basically just kind of asks Melissa how, high up it is. Says the amount of, floors. Everyone kind of freaking out a bit. And then basically after a few more talking, they basically go, and fucking hell, that's a plane! And it's not even that close! Okay, I think you might hear me now. But yeah, basically they start going. Just like in the movie, for the first few floors, everything is okay. Until they get, discovered because of Mineta opening a door. Whoop, a cat. I think it's a cat. So basically they get discovered. They try to lock them in. And Deku, still not using the bracelet, basically just ramming into one of the walls, breaking it open. And basically for a while until they get to the botanic part. Sorry, I forgot how it's named. I'll just call it the flower floor, basically. Garden floor. There it is. But yeah, basically when they get there, once again they hide. The villains try to call them out. Bakugo and Kirishima appear. Shoto blocks the attack from the villains. And then tells everyone to go now. Everyone goes, obviously. And that battle basically happens the exact same, with Shoto just being a bit better with his flames and ice. Basically, since he was a lot more in the mood to train during the... Wow, I have a lot of problems talking tonight. But yeah, basically when Deku and Shoto were in Endeavor's agency, basically, Shoto had a lot more desire to train, both his ice and fire, because of Deku. So, he's a bit stronger, but it literally doesn't change anything. Bakugo's also stronger, simply because he trains like crazy, thinking that he's not going to be beaten by a quirkless fool. Yeah, he calms down that anger when he's around Deku just because of Best Genius, but everywhere else he basically still has it, though a bit less powerful than before, but not that great. So the others run away. When they talk about the vent where Mineta passed in the movie, Deku basically told him that he could throw him, basically after Mineta tries to cry that he doesn't want to do it. And Mineta goes, because he doesn't want to be thrown. Even less by Deku, who could literally splash him to the wall like a little grape. So, basically they start running up the floors again, all the way up until... because for the movie, not a lot of things change, and basically the only changes that do happen basically just make Deku faster and stronger in it, basically making this thing advance further. Not a lot of things basically get told, so I'm basically adding this to the first part of the forest arc, depending on how slow I decide to walk. But yeah, so when they finally get to the robots, Deku doesn't yet use the glove. In fact, he won't use it until basically the very end. Deku literally smashes most of the robots away. In fact, more than in the movie. Basically continues doing that for a while, until at some point there's just way too much. Basically the others starting to help. Deku basically looking at each door and, well, from where the robots are coming, and basically yelling at Mineta to find a way to block some of those doors with his balls. Which Mineta didn't know how to do. Basically, Deku decided to just ram up his power to 20%. So it would be 60% compared to the movie. Basically running straight through the robots, pushing them away using Black Whip and destroying a majority of them. Reaching one of the doors, basically ramming so hard in the robots that, like, a huge amount of them just get just pushed out of the tower, basically breaking the wall behind it that reached towards outside and basically launching them out. Deku screaming at everyone to come, since Mineta didn't want to try and block the doors, so he did that. Everyone followed. Basically just going. So this time there's not people left behind and everyone is a lot less exhausted. Deku is just a lot more, well, powerful. So he basically rammed that up by himself, almost. So until the next floor with the servers, then the same group is basically left there. Momo, I think it was Momo, Mina. No, Mina's not there. No, Momo, Jiro. Yeah, fuck it. I won't try to remember that. Well, that part precisely. Basically, though, the guys that were already on that floor and Mineta basically stayed there to basically keep the robots, with everyone else basically going up to finally reach the outside, where this time it was a lot different. First difference was that even if Ochako basically lifted them up, this time they weren't solely relying on the wind. In fact, Deku was basically using the black whips to go up. Then they saw that the robots were actually getting close to Ochako, until Bakugo, Shoto, and Kirishima showed back up. This time Shoto didn't need to make wind to push them up, since obviously Deku was able to go up by himself, having Melissa basically grabbing onto his back. And they basically went up a lot further, actually. They basically reached the entire top of the tower, so the little roof. So instead of coming up and being attacked by a villain, they were coming down and met with the villains and David a lot earlier. So before he actually opened the safe. Since obviously a lot of things basically happened faster. So David basically saw his daughter, stopped the villain, basically seeing that, oh, it won't work. Decided to reveal earlier that he was truly a villain. Like before David was able to reveal that it was his fault. Basically, he shot towards Melissa, well, pointed towards Melissa, saying to shield, well, David to open it, saying that he's not a fake villain. Then Melissa asking what he means, and basically the villain saying that, well, David's the one who invited them here, thinking that they were false villain, to take back something that he had created, but was confiscated. basically revealing it a bit less hard on Melissa. Still pretty damping of everything. Basically, he went to shoot her because David decided to not do it. Deku blocked it. The villain basically getting mad and pushing a huge amount of metals toward Deku. Deku still using 20%, which is 60%, so basically already going far for the gauntlet. Yeah, not ready, already at 100%, but yeah. Basically, Deku decided to think, I need to test it out at least, and basically went to 90% of the gauntlet's capacity, so he went to 30%. Basically smashing into the metal. David basically finally opening the lock because, well, he didn't want his daughter to die. The villain basically then having something thrown towards him. The villain not having that much trouble basically blocking it with a piece of metal. Then attacking Melissa again while Deku was distracted. Shield being like scared for that. With Deku basically ramming back down and, well, turning back around and saving Melissa. The villain grabbing more metal and basically sticking Melissa and Deku to the wall, grabbing Shield and going away with the helmet that boosts quirks. Basically, Deku got out of the metal. Melissa went and stopped the security alert, liberating All Might, then told Deku to go and save her father. Deku basically went to do that. Then he got to the roof when the helicopter was trying to get away. This time being able to literally just grab the helicopter with some of his black whips. Then launching some more backwards, like to grab onto the building. Literally making sure it doesn't go away. Sorry about that. Shield just seeing that and be like, how strong is this kid? Like, seeing that he literally went up the tower, protected Melissa completely, and is now literally holding an entire helicopter from getting away. He saw that, well, 2 quirks, so yeah, impressive. Like, the villain just said that having 2 quirk is impressive, but he know he has more. Shield not understanding, and basically the only reason he knows that is because of the sports festival. Like, nearly everyone knows that Deku has 3 quirks, so yikes. So basically the villain tells Deku that he knows that even if his arm rips off, they're just going to grow back. So he knows Deku won't let go. Well, unless he gets killed. Basically using the gun to try and shoot Deku towards the face. With All Might actually arriving and kind of pushing the helicopter away. Basically, Deku was able to leave enough time to do that. So, yeah, that happened. The villain basically, well, kind of, just after that happened, a few more things kind of went. Basically, Shield being saved, this time All Might still not knowing about anything just yet. But basically, the villain starting to control the entire tower. Basically, after putting the cask on his head. The others, well, basically nearly everyone kind of have the same thing happen. Deku being in a bit of a better shape this time. Basically, Shield getting trapped by the villain, thinking, well, since they want him to make more of this, to make an army of people with overpowered quirks. So, yeah, they kind of grabbed him. All Might was mad, basically tried to stop the villain, and Deku for a few minutes, basically doing almost nothing, because his arm were literally nearly ripped off. Even with One for All, basically his body, how he was using it right there, his arms needed to recover. So for the few minutes that he couldn't actually use them, he couldn't help All Might. Basically making All Might being, harassed by the villain for a bit. Until the villain basically told All Might about what Shield did. And basically telling All Might who sent him as well. So making All Might know that, oh yeah, Shield was the one to call us, and All for One gave me a gift to be better at beating you. So basically making All Might really mad. All Might was about to be really, almost killed by a piece of metal that the villain was about to launch into All Might, until Deku basically threw a chunk, not a chunk of metal, but basically a metal beam straight towards, the villain. Since now that his arms were basically reconnected, which was pretty fast. Since all that was happening was that his arm were dislocated, as well as muscle basically ripping, making it extremely hard for Deku to use them. But now that he was fine, basically while Bakugo and Shoto actually had found him and protected him, Bakugo just doing it because, obviously, he knows that Deku's strong, and if All Might's not able to do it alone, Deku might be able to help. Since, he won't go in there. He thinks of himself as strong, but not against that. And Shoto, for obvious reasons, he's basically a friend by this point, so he's doing it. Until Deku was able to go. All Might was basically freed from that, but still falling. And basically now we have the same type of, moment as in the movie, where both of them are basically fighting the villain. Except that Deku's only using 30% instead of a full 100% that he can use, which would be a full 300%. But basically, at one point they kind of stopped a bit, with Deku telling All Might that if he needs to, he can go 100%. All Might telling him that this would be crazy, with Deku activating the bracelet, activating his quirk, One for All, to 133%, saying that he's basically at the limit right there of what he can do, and then saying that the bracelet can actually help control 3 punches from All Might. So if Deku only uses 33%, he should be able to use that and be at the same level of All Might. With All Might telling Deku that, you know what? If I can place you a right hit, do you think you can go 100%? Basically telling Deku that he wants him to end the fight as fast as possible, since he doesn't want Deku to basically hurt himself too much, and he wants to save everyone. So Deku basically told him that if he can place it right, and that he's able to get close enough, going 100% and breaking his arm wouldn't be a problem. So basically All Might getting ready and telling him that, they're going. and basically doing kind of the running part, breaking some blocks, and basically the villain starting to make the giant block to kill them. Deku kept at 33%. Basically, he hadn't used the gauntlet with that yet, basically to not break it, and had actually reduced it back to 30%. In that moment, he basically raised it to like 37, 38, nearly 40. Let's just say 40. Basically making cracks in the bracelet, gauntlet, whatever. And basically they smashed through the rock, getting close to the villain, everyone kind of being amazed. And basically All Might telling Deku to do it now, with Deku releasing the full 100% around his body to jump, basically breaking one of his legs. Melissa seeing that, and seeing that even the bracelet's not enough to contain his power, putting all of his power inside the only one arm, all the arm with the bracelet, and basically smashing straight at the villain with so much power that nearly half of the entire building that was being put around the villain basically exploded at the same time. He nearly killed the villain, didn't throw towards the head, still broke the cask for obvious reasons, with basically the day being saved. Obviously, everyone were happy. Someone went looking for Izuku, Melissa for her father. All Might also went for David first, thinking that Deku would be okay, which he will be, obviously. And basically everything kind of being wrapped up. When All Might found David, Melissa started to look for Izuku, which someone else had already found him, so she went towards him. And when she saw the bracelet being broken, first she saw that his limbs were broken, his left leg and right arm. Or is it right leg and left arm? Don't remember, whatever. They're basically the opposite limbs. So, damn, my phone lost battery fast. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, basically, she asked Deku if he was okay, with him saying that, yeah, but the bracelet broke before he used the last attack, basically kind of trying to hide the facts of, that he was stronger than All Might if he goes 100%, which she didn't want to believe, but she saw how serious Deku was saying that, basically making her believe that, oh, he's not lying, even though he totally is. With Bakugo basically screaming at him that he literally broke his arm and leg. How strong is he? And why wasn't All Might the one to give the final push? With Deku just saying, oh right, you weren't there when I said it. Basically All Might was getting closer, and basically Deku just said that, he was trained by All Might for a while, so All Might knew how strong he was. All Might hearing that basically just kind of getting close, with everyone just looking at him. With Deku saying that, after all, he was trained by the best hero. He couldn't be anything less than best. Basically understanding that Deku didn't say about one for all, just that he was trained. And saying to Deku that was a secret. With Deku saying that, after you said to Jiro that I was the only one who was supposed to try and help, I kind of had to explain that. So, basically, a few people know that he was trained by All Might. They don't know about One for All, though. So, yeah. Though Bakugo all started to think, like, if we hadn't went to the island, it would take a longer time for what I'm about to say to happen. But right now, since they went to the island and were told that piece of information, he now thinks All Might actually might have given him a quirk. Or found a way to give him one. Though having 3 quirks basically make little sense, since All Might doesn't have a healing quirk nor a black whip quirk. So for now he's still not thinking that it's actually that. But basically after that, Shield and All Might have a discussion. Shield get arrested. Deku basically says sorry to Melissa about the bracelet, with her saying that it's okay and that now she just needs to find a way to make one stronger. And that she's going to send it to Deku first. Basically asking Deku his address, basically just for that, for if at one point she finishes it. So remember that tidbit of information. Put it on paper and put it up in. Because, yeah, that's going to come back later for something. Since, obviously, we know that in the manga, by this point, Deku has some type of gauntlets that look like that are able to hold a lot of power from him. But we don't know if it was from Melissa. So, yeah, keep that in mind. But, yeah, so basically, after the island, Deku basically takes 2 or 3 days to heal, normally, from, well, that much damage only to one arm. Like, it's not ripped off, it just needs to be placed back in place, so his healing can do that fast. But now, since it's also a leg, it will take a bit more time. Basically, having cast made for him to at least hold the things in place until he gets to UA, where he can be healed. Since they don't stay there for 2 more days, they literally leave the next day, so that happens. And now we're going to go start for the forest arc. Basically, Aizawa knows about what happened on the island, knows about the amount of power that was used by Deku, and basically, when they go for the expedition, well, for the forest, they actually told previously to the Pussycats that Deku could actually end the entire thing by himself, so they don't need to separate them, or at least make it so that Deku needs to be separated from the others. So, yeah. Basically, the way there is kind of the same. When they get there, basically everyone's looking around. Aizawa tells Deku to come closer to him, he has something to tell him, right before he shows the Pussycats. Basically everyone's around there. Aizawa tells Deku to stay next to him, and then Aizawa presents the Pussycats. Then explains the thing that, oh yeah, no, they're at their destinations. Now they just need to continue in the forest. Everyone's freaking out and starting to go back to the bus, Deku not moving. With Pixie Bob basically making the ground fall. Everyone looking around. Aizawa explaining what is going to happen, and then a few people asking why isn't Deku here. With Aizawa saying that Deku's actually going to have to do it alone, so he's going to be a bit further up. A few people asking why do they do this, with Aizawa saying that, well, obviously, Deku is stronger, and not only that, if he was in your group, I'm pretty much everyone, except a few of you, would basically just rely on him to do the work. So he's going to be alone, while every one of you go ahead by all of your group. Pixie Bob takes interest in Deku a lot earlier, basically tells Aizawa that she's going to train him, basically trying to mark him. Aizawa tell Deku that to just go a few, well, to use his quirk and go a few kilometers up, and then basically tells him the exact location. Deku basically understands and goes there, basically just thinking that, oh, there won't be too much problems. So yeah, Mineta gets hurt, like, pretty early, but not anything too bad. Another plane! Come on! But yeah, so basically, Deku just kind of goes further using One for All, so basically doesn't take him an hour. Like, it doesn't even take him 2 minutes to get there. Gets down and basically goes. During that time, Mineta almost got crushed, but was saved by the tape guy. Basically getting him out of the way, still hurting Mineta a bit, but like I said, he can still do everything by himself. It's just a scratch. So basically they go for the forest, which without Deku they actually almost miss the mark by like a few seconds when they reach the other side. When they reach the other side though, they're just thinking, yeah, no, Deku's going to have Deku won't be there yet. They get there and Deku's already showered and basically didn't eat yet, was waiting with the others. Already had presented himself to Koda. Didn't get punched in the nut this time, since he was more alert. So yeah. Also, Koda heard that he was bullied basically his entire life. Basically from the TV when the sports festival happened. So Mandalay, Pixie Bob, and the other Pussycats already know about Deku only having his quirk for a few months. Koda doesn't punch him in the nut. Well, he did try, but he didn't do it as hard as he did it in the anime. Still tried though, like I said. But yeah, Deku was basically just waiting for the others in the company of the Pussycats. With Mandalay having talked with Deku for a bit, since he basically only took half the time they had. Someone basically asked Deku how he got here so fast, with Deku literally saying that he went to the max he could, hurting his body a bit, but, well, making him hurt a lot, but he didn't hurt his body, so he was fine. Basically, he already has full body, so, yeah, it's a lot easier. Well, he already had full body a lot earlier, so his training and his power already went higher. Also, by this point, because of the infinite growth power, his One for All passed from like 300%, what was in the anime, to around, if you want to go 100%, being about 306%. 312 is actually going to be at the end of the forest arc. So he's going to have gained another 6% by the end of the forest arc on One for All, just by training even more. Nobody knows that yet though, but yeah, his power's basically increasing even though he keeps the same amount of power on One for All. That's why he doesn't that's why he's not actually able to increase the amount of percentage on One for All, that fast, because it actually increases as well, making it hard to kind of keep up with. Though the only reason he's only at that amount is because the only time he actually increased it basically continuously was when he went to the Endeavor's agency. So yeah, after that, thanks to the island, it basically gave him another percentage age. So actually, that's not a 6, that's a 9. Yeah, dyslexia is really hard on me. But yeah, so then why only 12? I was going to just double the extra. Oh, whatever, Bo. So, he's at 309% if he goes at 100% compared to what his power was in the anime. And by the end, it's going to have doubled that last digit, so he's going to be at 318. But yeah, all the other explanations are going to be the same. His power is basically going to be increased because he is going to be told to just keep it on all the time, even when he's sleeping. Well, that part's basically not told to him beforehand. Basically what happens is they're explained everything, they go eat, and then Deku, basically when he is told that they will want him to train his body by constantly having it on at the max amount, he basically asks if it's okay for him to sleep outside. Mandalay telling him it's okay because of the Earth Beast from Pixie Bob, but why? With him saying that if he keeps it on all night as well, which Aizawa tells him that that might be a bad idea, which Deku just tell him that, well, that's exactly why. He wants to try and keep it up always, until it's basically second nature to him. To also be able to control the amount of power while he's sleeping and everything, so that he can be ready at any time. So it might be better to sleep outside because, well, if he does a certain movement that actually activates it could be bad. Basically telling him that, okay, he's allowed to sleep outside, but to still be careful. Basically, then that night, kind of, well, I think the first day is when they go to the bath. Mineta tries to look above. Same things happen with Koda. Koda's brought inside. Well, I don't remember if it's on the first night or the night right before the night scare game. But whatever, I'm going to put it at the very start this time, just to basically put that out of the way. So yeah, Deku's explained earlier about that, if it's earlier than in the anime. But yeah, after that, basically Deku goes training. Basically, he's told to sleep a lot, which he doesn't actually do because every time he starts to fall asleep, well, basically he asked Mandalay to make a beast near him. Basically, that would wake him up every time he stops using it. She didn't actually. She asked Pixie Bob to do that. Mandalay told him that it would be a bad idea. Deku was still able to make her do it. Basically telling her to do it anyway. Pixie Bob listened just because, well, it would be fun to see it. So even when she sleeps, there's basically a beast that every time Deku's power, well, once for all, stops circulating through his body, it wakes him up. So for the entire time there, nearly nobody actually sees Deku except when they eat. Which the other, well, Class 1B actually just kind of asks around a few times about that. Class 1A basically doesn't say a lot. Until at one point they basically ask Mandalay and basically are able to nag her enough until basically they are explained that Deku's constantly in the forest training by himself, using his quirk at the max capacity all the time. Even during his sleep, he's trying to keep it, so he's basically a constant danger for anyone who wouldn't actually be strong enough to deal with it. With them just kind of freaking out by this. So, yeah. A few people actually think, why is he doing that? With basically Aizawa explaining that because of his healing quirk, which Deku actually found out it actually helps him with his stamina, so, and that his quirk, as long as he doesn't forcefully use it, like does a punch or something, or starts running around with it, he can pretty much keep it on nearly infinitely without taking much stamina. So he's basically trying to use it constantly to adapt to that. Then uses his black whips to do it near always as well, to basically be able to swing around with ease. During that time, All Might's already looking for the quirks of the other users, since Deku unlocked one quirk pretty fast compared to the anime and manga. So All Might didn't have a choice but to look, because obviously that means he could get more. Though Deku, the first time he actually talked with one of the vestiges is actually in the forest, on the first night, in fact. That he talks with the guy who actually uses black whips, who tells him that he's going to get every other quirks as well. So he tries to say 7 in total, and then takes himself back and says 8 in total, with Deku asking him what he means. With the guy saying that, well, he has his healing, which doesn't come from One for All, or at least doesn't directly come from it. With then Deku starting to wake, so stopping the conversation there. With Deku training even harder, thinking that, yeah, he's going to have more quirks, so go for it. No, he doesn't unlock Float right now, though it's going to get close. But yeah, so basically on the last night, Mandalay basically tells Deku to, well, before the last day, Mandalay tells Deku that he needs to come back for that night. Well, for the next night, so that the next day when it's morning to come back to camp. So on the last day he comes back, everyone sees him. Basically, since they see him eat with everyone, then he goes to wash himself before everyone then leaves back outside. Basically, everyone just sees him with more and more injuries. Well, more and more, I say that because every day he basically tries to up the percentage by a certain amount. So by this point, he's like at 25%, constantly hurting his body, and basically regenerating constantly. When he gets back to camp, he normally stops using One for All, leaving his body to start healing. But since he keeps using it right after, yeah, it kind of balance out the damage, but when he augments it by 1%, his body starts to tear back up again. His healing basically doesn't keep up, actually. It is healing his body, but it's basically just keeping up barely enough, which is why he still has injuries. So basically that morning he comes back to camp and he's told to actually not use his quirk for the entire day to let his body actually heal before... Let me say that again. Basically him that he needs to relax the entire day to let his body heal, since they're going to be awake for a part of the night, since it's the last day. So a few people basically try to say that it's not fair since he won't be using his quirk for the entire day and be lazy. With either way telling them that the only quirk he doesn't want him to use is the one that hurts his body. He'll still train his black whips, this time just in a more controlled area, which Deku does, so that's still going. And that night the test happened, with everyone being stronger than before. Well, mostly for Class 1A. Class 1B is a bit stronger because of the motivation they saw from everyone else. But the reason why everyone in Class 1A is stronger is because they literally see that every night they see Deku coming back with more and more injuries, and then leaving back in the forest. So they basically push themselves a lot further. Even Bakugo is starting to actually see dedication in Deku. That starts to change a bit more his idea of him. During the day, someone basically takes a small break from Class 1B, which is Kendo. I think that's her name, the one that can grow her hand, and basically go as Deku, well, if he's okay. And how powerful is he right now? Since basically the thing about Deku being trained by All Might was told to be kept a secret by both All Might and Deku, so everyone basically kept it secret while still knowing it. So not everyone in Class 1A knows it, just those that were there. But yeah. Then, after basically her asking that, Deku just said that, well, he was a bit tired, but except that he's pretty fine. With her asking about his body, with him saying that it's fine, it's not like he lost an arm. Basically laughing it off, while she was just kind of looking weird at him. Because basically, yeah, she saw that Deku had dedication, like, literally, he wasn't stopping using it, and kept increasing the power over time. That's what she was told. So, well, that's what everyone was told. So, basically, his skin and muscles that were kind of a bit broken were healed over the day. So, since obviously it's not like if he can heal an entire broken arm, well, an entire broken bone in a few hours, yeah, by the end of the day, the rest of the damage already gone. Since he always made sure to not break his bones, so that he could at least heal the rest of the damage. That night they basically go for the, well, game, with Deku once again being alone, but this time not reacting in the same way, simply because, well, he was basically just thinking that at first that, well, that's bad, until he basically just decided to think, oh, well, actually, it could be useful since he doesn't have to worry about someone else on his team. So, yeah, that was kind of easy. When the villains attack, yeah, a few of them basically got a surprise of someone a bit stronger than what he should be. Firstly, the one who give me a second. Silverfish. If I remember correctly, he went and attacked Bakugo and Shoto. Yeah, his ass was beaten before someone else brought Tokoyami to him. Simply because, well, literally everyone in Class 1A was a lot stronger than they should be. They were a lot more, well, they had a lot more confidence in themselves, and also they were a lot more pumped up to train, seeing that, well, literally, the most powerful one of them was already way stronger than them, and he's basically pushing himself to a point where his body is broken. So, yeah, they're more motivated than ever. So basically, yeah, first, there's, what's her name? Well, what's his name, actually? The marble guy, don't remember. Him who was looking from afar for a while, basically until he was fighting someone. He basically didn't... He had more trouble than in the anime. Then Toga against Ochako and Tsuyu. Yeah, she was nearly soundly beaten by an Ochako who knows how to fight very, very well. Though she was still able to get blood from her, then basically was able to escape. But now let's go to Deku and what was happening with everything else. Deku had once again, just like in the anime, saw where Koda was going for, well, hiding. Basically one night he just saw it while in the woods, so he knew where it was. When Mandale said that she couldn't see Koda, Deku basically went towards it, and basically Deku once again saw, well, he arrived way earlier than in the anime, so when he actually got closer to Koda, Muscular wasn't just about to kill him. So Deku was was able to get close and tell Muscular to get away. With Muscular laughing at Deku, saying that he heard about him and that he was someone to kill. So, obviously, Deku basically kind of took a step back at first, until Muscular said that he's going to kill everyone except the one he's looking for, Bakugo. So, yeah, that basically made Deku go on edge and be in full fighting mode. He told Koda to run. Koda basically started doing that, and Deku went for Muscular. Basically, he started fighting, and even at 20%, the fight was kind of the same against Muscular, since obviously he isn't all that powerful yet. He is stronger, but yeah, it's not that strong yet compared to that. So when the fight started, Deku wasn't breaking his bones, was giving a good fight to Muscular, until Muscular almost made Koda fall. Deku went to try and grab him with Muscular punching him in the back, pushing him almost over the edge with Koda. Before catching Koda, Deku threw some black whips toward Koda, then black whips toward Muscular, basically grabbing onto him and trying to swing himself back towards Muscular, basically hitting him in the face with his feet. Grabbing Koda in the air, thanks to his black whip, he basically brought him closer to himself. And so Deku almost went to try and run away, until Muscular basically grabbed Deku well, before he was able to run away, and throwing him basically over where it was dropping, scaring Deku a huge amount. Basically, Koda grabbing onto him, being really afraid and crying by this point. And when he thought he was about to fall, he didn't. And yeah, leaving you on that cliffhanger. Yeah, literally a cliffhanger, since they're next to the cliff. So yeah, hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. And yeah, in the next part, Deku using floats to literally massacre, Muscular, and then go back to everyone else. Hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. Natsu, out.